You've been told that being agreeable earns loyalty, that politeness guarantees respect, that keeping everyone happy will eventually pay off. But it doesn't. The world doesn't reward passive men. It forgets them. If you're always available, always agreeable, and always quiet, when it matters, you don't come across as kind. You come across as forgettable. And the men who get ahead, they're not louder, they're bolder, clearer, grounded in who they are. This video isn't about turning into a jerk. It's about stopping the slow death of your potential through approval seeking. It's about learning how to lead, not follow every expectation handed to you. You don't need to scream to be respected, but you do need to stop apologizing for having needs, standards, and direction. We're going to break the habits that keep you invisible and build the qualities that make men magnetic without the fake bravado. No gimmicks, just real, internal power. If you're tired of being overlooked, underestimated, or used as a convenience, this is your wake-up call. It's time to stop pleasing and start leading. He's dependable, he's agreeable, he's always ready to help. On the surface, the nice guy looks like the ideal friend, partner, or colleague. But beneath the surface lies a quiet frustration, a lingering confusion about why he's constantly overlooked, taken for granted, or passed over when it counts. This isn't a flaw in kindness, it's the result of a misunderstood identity. The nice guy doesn't ask for much, because he's been taught not to. He avoids tension, shrinks in conflict, and trades authenticity for harmony. Somewhere along the way, he learned that being liked was safer than being real, so he says yes when he wants to say no, hides emotion to keep the peace, and smiles when he feels invisible. But playing safe has a cost. You disappear. People stop asking what he wants because they assume he has no preference. He's seen as agreeable, but not influential. Supportive, but not strong. He doesn't demand attention, but that doesn't make him noble. It makes him forgettable. The origin? Early conditioning. Messages about obedience, emotional suppression, and avoiding disapproval shape this pattern. Over time, it becomes automatic. He blends in, trying to earn his place through performance rather than presence. The biggest trap: he expects reward for compliance. When that doesn't happen, resentment builds. He feels ignored, but never expresses it. He expects others to recognize his silent sacrifice. But unspoken needs rarely get met. To break free, he must stop outsourcing his value. Stop living as an echo of others' expectations. That begins with honesty. What does he actually want? What has he been tolerating that no longer aligns with who he wants to become? This isn't a pivot to arrogance. It's a return to authenticity. Leading begins with recognizing you were never meant to be a placeholder in your own life. If you've recognized yourself in these patterns, the good news is it's not permanent. Awareness breaks the cycle. New behavior rebuilds your direction. You don't need anyone's permission to lead. You just need to stop hiding behind politeness. Before we move on to what real dominance actually looks like, I've got a quick ask. I'm working toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps this message reach the men who need it most. If this hits home, hit that subscribe button. Let's change the narrative, together. Dominance has been distorted. It's often confused with aggression, control, or arrogance. But true dominance has nothing to do with force. It's about certainty, purpose. Grounded leadership that doesn't seek power, it radiates it. Authentic dominance starts with self-control. You don't need to impose your will. You need to master your response. That begins internally, by owning your choices, managing your impulses, and refusing to be shaken by every outside opinion. This isn't about intimidation. It's about presence. When a man moves with quiet assurance, others adjust, not because he demanded it, but because his energy leaves no doubt about where he stands. Dominance also involves decision-making. Indecision signals weakness. When you hesitate endlessly, you drain your authority. But when you gather input, assess quickly, and take action without flinching, people notice. Clarity inspires. Hesitation disrupts momentum. Another trait of true dominance: responsibility. Not for control, but for outcome. You don't shift blame. You own your role, adapt when needed, and improve without needing praise. Accountability builds trust. Without it, influence collapses. Real dominance is expressed through consistency. When your actions match your words, especially under pressure, you become a stabilizer. In a world addicted to chaos, steadiness becomes power. Assertiveness supports this. You speak clearly. You state what you need without apology or aggression. You don't seek approval, you provide clarity. And that clarity creates space for respect to grow naturally. Importantly, dominance includes emotional regulation. You don't flinch in discomfort. You don't escalate when challenged. You stay level. People follow the person who stays composed when things unravel. That's dominance in motion, not noise, but direction. True leaders don't need to be liked. They need to be effective, and effectiveness grows from alignment. When your values, words, and behavior line up, your message lands before you say a word. Authentic dominance never seeks attention. It earns influence. It's not about being feared, but about being firm in your mission. When people sense that you won't bend for popularity, they listen differently. Not out of fear, but out of respect. This shift from passive to powerful doesn't require you to become someone else. It requires you to return to who you were before doubt crept in. Let's move forward. Next, we break down exactly how to speak with authority, even when the room's not listening. Powerful communication doesn't rely on volume, it relies on clarity. The ability to speak with confidence, without aggression or apology, transforms how others respond to you. It's not about controlling the conversation, it's about making your message undeniable. Assertiveness isn't natural for everyone, especially if you've spent years softening your voice to avoid conflict. But this isn't about becoming confrontational, it's about removing uncertainty from your words. The first step is deciding what needs to be said and why. Vagueness waters down impact. When your purpose is clear, your words land clean. Start by simplifying your language. Replace over-explaining with direct statements. That doesn't work for me. Here's what I need. These are not negotiations. They're boundaries as spoken with calm conviction. Tone matters. A firm voice doesn't have to be sharp. Control your pitch, speak slower than usual, and leave space between ideas. Silence carries weight. It allows people to absorb what you've said and reveals you're not rushing for approval. Body language completes the message. Eye contact that holds, not stares, creates connection. A relaxed posture signals comfort in your stance. Don't fidget. Don't collapse into yourself. Let your presence say you belong without forcing it. When challenged, stay centered. People sometimes test firmness to see if you'll backtrack. Don't. Repeating yourself is rarely necessary when you speak with precision. Let your statement stand. If needed, reframe it briefly, but never dilute it to please. Assertiveness also involves restraint. You don't need to correct every misstep or engage in every debate. Choose moments where your input adds value. When you speak selectively, your words carry more weight. Avoid filler language. Words like maybe, just, or I think weaken conviction. Confidence is heard in the structure of your speech. Get to the point, stay on it, and move on without lingering. Lastly, detach from the need for agreement. Not everyone will nod, and that's fine. Respect comes from holding your ground, not persuading everyone to agree with you. Mastering assertive speech isn't about performance, it's about being unmistakably clear. When you remove uncertainty from your voice, people don't just hear you, they adjust to you. Resilience is the armor that turns setbacks into stepping stones. It's what separates men who retreat under stress from those who rise through it. Strength isn't proven in comfort, it's forged through discomfort, tested in pressure, and validated by recovery. Start with the mind. Mental strength doesn't mean avoiding emotion, it means navigating it without collapse. You don't silence feelings, you observe them, understand what they signal, and choose how to respond. That control builds internal freedom. The man who isn't ruled by reaction commands respect without saying a word. Mental resilience is also built through consistency. Following through on small daily commitments creates a foundation. You build grit by keeping promises, especially the quiet ones you make to yourself. Self-trust accumulates. That trust becomes the backbone of how you respond when things go sideways. Physical discipline works the same way. Your body is a mirror for how you manage pressure. Skipping the workout when it's inconvenient, cutting corners on rest. Those patterns show up beyond health. They bleed into how you lead. Physical training isn't about image, it's about proving that discomfort won't stop you. Push when it's hard. Stay when it's boring. Finish when it's tempting to coast. The man who lives by. Those standards can't be shaken by opinion, failure, or fatigue. Resilience isn't about being invincible, it's about recovery. You're going to get knocked down, What matters is how fast you refocus. That reset muscle, built through experience, turns chaos into clarity. Also, remove the distractions that drain your strength. Endless noise, toxic relationships, shallow routines, they erode energy. Protect your mental space like you protect your schedule. What fills your attention defines your direction. You don't develop toughness through theory, you earn it through action. The man who endures, adapts, and rebuilds without losing direction is the one others look to when pressure peaks. Resilience isn't loud, it doesn't flex, it shows up when excuses don't. A man without limits becomes everyone's convenience. When your schedule, energy, or attention are constantly up for grabs, people assume they can take what they want without question. That assumption isn't their fault. It's a reflection of what you've allowed. Boundaries are not walls, they are definitions. They show others where your resources end and where accountability begins. Without them, resentment grows. Not because people intend harm, but because you've trained them to expect access without limits. To set boundaries, start by identifying where your time or effort feels misused. Which interactions leave you drained? What obligations spark hesitation instead of purpose? Those answers guide you toward change. You don't need to announce new limits with a speech. Begin acting on them. If someone asks for something outside your capacity, decline clearly. No guilt, no apology, just a firm, polite refusal. That action, done consistently, replaces explanation with clarity. Standards operate differently. They're not about protection, they're about elevation. Your standards define the quality you expect from yourself and your surroundings. If you tolerate disorder, you invite more of it. If you demonstrate consistency, others respond with increased effort. Raising standards isn't about being difficult, it's about refusing to participate in what drains value. If a relationship lacks reciprocity, recalibrate it. If a routine produces mediocrity, refine it. Standards are not for show, they're for structure. Holding both boundaries and standards requires alignment. You must know what matters to you and act like it. Your behavior must reinforce your values. That's when people begin adjusting around you, not because you're demanding, but because you're immovable. Expect resistance. When you stop overextending, some will push back. Let them. That tension reveals who truly respects your presence and who relied on your absence of direction. Ultimately, limits are not selfish, they're strategic. They protect what you're building and communicate that your mission takes priority. High standards challenge others to level up or leave. When you live with definition, people don't guess what matters to you, they know. And those who belong in your life won't test the line, they'll honor it. Leadership isn't a spotlight, it's a standard. You don't earn influence by trying to impress. You build it by showing consistency when no one's watching. Purpose and integrity form the backbone of every action worth following. Leading with purpose means knowing why you do what you do. It means aligning your decisions with a direction greater than comfort or convenience. You're not reacting to life, you're shaping it. Every move reflects intention, not impulse. Integrity is more than honesty. It's coherence. It's saying what you believe and proving it through behavior. When your actions match your values, even when challenged, people take notice. You don't have to convince them, they feel it. Effective leadership requires inner alignment. You stop chasing approval because your compass is internal. You stay firm when it's easier to bend. You prioritize principle over popularity. And when setbacks come, you don't shift blame, you lead through it. That's when real respect is earned, in the quiet, decisive moments that others avoid. To lead well, stay grounded, stay clear, and let your example speak louder than your words ever could. Dominance isn't noise, it's direction. You don't need to yell to be heard. You need clarity, consistency, and conviction that speaks without forcing. Every standard you enforce, every truth you stand on, builds your identity. This isn't about ego, it's about alignment. So here's your challenge. What's one behavior you're ready to drop that's been holding you back? Drop it in the comments. And if this gave you something real to think about, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm working toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps grow this message. Thanks for being here. Let's keep building forward.